Yeah, they're starting off well with that 57-hour timer. We should probably, hopefully he'll reset that.
Oh, and they're going.
And here we go.
All right.
So starting our prologue, we are going to be seeing them jump a whole lot because jumping does save a little bit of time over the course of this prologue. We might also see some people try to do some corner boost here, saves even a little bit more time.
Yeah.
But they're not going to change too much here. Overall, we're going to be seeing probably them all finishing at around 44 seconds here.
I think now would be a good time to just go over some of the movement while they're not really doing any of it. So this game is basically centered around the dash movement, which, as you can see, this bird has taught you how to do. And the dash movement can extend into many different kind of forms of dashes. One you'll be seeing a lot is the hyper dash, which will be more than abundant in these races. There's also the dash cancel, which has which gives greater height but less distance. There's the wall bounce, which we'll be seeing a lot of here in Forsaken City. And there is the ultra dash, which is a bit less common, but still a very fast strat. And here in Forsaken City, we don't really have too many different mechanics introduced to us compared to some of the other levels. There's just kind of these zipper blocks and these dash crystals. The zipper blocks, which trigger movement when you make contact with them, and then the dash crystals, which just refill your dash in the air.
And most of the zipper blocks here aren't really used in this chapter because we have a lot of different tech to get around them. But we'll be seeing them make a return later on, and then they'll actually be a bit more useful to us. Moving in now to the last section here of Forsaken City. Msushi there doing a nice little extended hyper into bunny hop to get over that entire gap there. Very nicely done.
And here we see Hihya using a little corner jump to skip a lot of that 1 second last room. And we see him also using the neutral jump strat to skip all the zipper blocks, as well as Msushi and Salad finishing quickly.
Briguy just a little bit behind here, but also about to finish up here. So it was a pretty solid sit from all of them. Briguy deciding to go for the bit safer strat there and just use zipper blocks.
And so now we're going into Old Sight. Personally, my favorite chapter because of the dream blocks, which we'll see used here in a minute. Which basically, if you dash into them, they kind of give you a track to just continue moving until you exit the dream block. And the skip we saw from Msushi and Hihya and now Salad is where they basically skip the cutscene with a Y position high enough to be in the dream block, since like exiting a cutscene only really makes you changes your X position rather than your Y. So it saves maybe a second or two, but it's still somewhat of a free save. So there's that.
So there's no people going for it. Now moving into the Battleline chase here, where Battleline is going to copy our every move, but with a 3-second delay here. So for the most part, we're going to be able to outrun her. But then in the end, we have to go back on ourselves to get some extra coins to unlock some doors. So speaking of the coins here, these coins trigger some blocks when you pick up all of them in the same room. So in Msushi's screen now, he's going to get onto this first room where you have to do a bit of backtracking here. Going to dash through his Battlelands, very nicely done there.
And Hihya has now exited the Battleland fight and is moving into, well, a section where you really just don't die much. It's just kind of as optimized movement as possible, since there's no real threat in this part. And now we'll see him going into the Awake section, which, again, there's no real way to die. It's just kind of, your biggest enemy here is the corners.
Absolutely. So you want to do some fairly precise jumps here to get through this as fast as possible, because you can get stuck on pretty much everything that's in your way here. Some corners, some pillars, and some other rocks and the likes. We also see Sal now in this Wake section, and Briguy also finishing up here with the Battleline fight. So a very, very close race so far. All about finishing up within a span of about 20 seconds, I'd say.
Yeah, fairly close.
So now we're going to see Hihya, Celeste, and Msushi going into Resort. Briguy going to follow suit as well soon. And Resort is the cycle-based chapter here of the run. So we're going to see these dust bunnies here that on Hihya's screen there that are going to go on cycles in all the rooms, pretty much. And all the rooms have 2 cycles, one for death in the room and one for when you actually enter it. So in some cases, I believe we'll actually see Salad using the death cycle a little bit later, as I know he likes to do that in a certain room. But since there are 2 different cycles, most players will have to learn these rooms twice, especially when getting started with the speedrunning of this game.
Yeah, for sure. And here we see Briguy, just a few seconds behind the rest of them, now going to Celestial Resort.
So he is having a really, really good resort right now. He also had an extremely solid ult site, so hopefully Salad can pick up the pace a bit here so he catches up. And we did forget to talk about one of the most important mechanics and the most complicated one. These keys here. Otz, can you explain to me what the keys do?
The keys open doors. That's all that's really to them, except they can be used in different ways for speedrunning. Like, there are some optimal places. There are 2 places in this run where retrying and getting a death while with the keys can actually be faster than going the intended route. And we will see one of those here in Celestial Resort and one of those later in the run.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we have Hihya, Salad, and Msushi in the huge section here. It's probably the most annoying part to actually just get through because there's a lot of narrow pathways, so we can't really utilize too many of our speed techs. But of course, after doing this a couple of times, we know how to dash through properly at least. But it can take a long while to get used to, and you can occasionally just mess it up for almost no reason. But so far, all the 3 runners there have gone through it at quite a good pace. M's doing a little bit of a spike jump there, jumping away from the spike when he's in the hitbox. And if you are moving away, the spikes will not actually be able to kill you, which is very nice. Whoa. All right, so Hihya now and Msushi as well in the final section here, the pool area. Gonna clean up some towels here and then move on from the mess and make their way through the hotel.
Yeah, Hihya finishing up the huge mess section, stomping on the final button, and now entering probably the most frustrating section, at least for me, of Celestial Resort, the elevator shaft portion, where certainly some of these cycles get a lot trickier to deal with. I know there are a few rooms where death cycle can be very punishing. So if these runners aren't careful, they could lose a bit of time here.
Absolutely. So far, Hihya is doing a very good job, and Msushi following suit just as well there. Salad also moving into the elevator section as we see Briguy now in the second part of the huge mess. So he's a little bit behind, but of course was a bit to be expected, seeing as his PV is a little bit behind the others. But we'll still see him doing a pretty good race here, I think.
And what we saw from Hihya there is a pretty well, I'm not sure too difficult of a cycle skip, but it can be fairly hard when starting out, where he just uses 4 chained hyper dashes to kind of skip over all those dust bunnies. It's somewhat of a precise trick in the fact that if you kind of time any of them wrong, you kind of die, but he's able to pull it off cleanly there. And Salad taking a bit of a death. As I said, it's a very precise trick. If you are a little bit late or early with any of the cycles, then you will end up with a death. So, and somewhat of a high risk, high reward strat.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we see Hihya and Sushi in the Assure fight section here. where Oshiro does want to fight us, but unfortunately we don't have the time. We have a game to complete, so we're gonna go ahead and run away from him to be able to get away from this hotel. Salad now also joining up in this fight here. As Briguy misses a coin there, unfortunately, but does a pretty nice save there and gets back on track through the elevator shaft.
And here we see Msushi and Hihya, like maybe 2 seconds in between them. This is certainly a close competition between these two, even though they aren't racing each other. Oh, but Msushi taking a death on the last room. This last room of Celestial Resort, I believe, is either the longest or second longest room of the entire game, possibly followed by the last room of 2500 in Summit. But
yeah, that's the longest, yeah.
Yeah, a death in that room can be very punishing.
Yeah, as we talked about earlier a bit of the death and entry cycles, I believe that Salad is actually gonna intentionally retry when he gets to that room because he prefers the death cycle a lot more to the entry cycle. Let's see if he does it here.
Yeah,
he does the retry there. So the cycles are a bit different here, and Salad has a strat that works for the death cycle, but doesn't work for the entry cycle because of how Oshiro and the dust points move independently from each other. So we have Sushi and Hihya now in the Golden Ridge section. Do you want to go ahead a bit and talk about the mechanics there?
Yeah, so what we'll see starting out is there are these blue bubbles which kind of act as an extra dash. Like you can move them in any of the 8 directions for about the length of a dash. And we'll see these keys aren't exactly new, but we'll be seeing a lot more of them in Golden Ridge compared to most of the other chapters. And as we see here, there's also wind, which can be frustrating. And then these moving blocks, which we're actually able to use in some rooms for like not their intended purpose. I think Hihya is moving up to this next room here. We'll be able to see him using the momentum from that block to push him over a large chasm.
Yeah, that's a very reoccurring mechanic here, where momentum from blocks give you a huge speed there to your hypers and your dash jumps. Used for several skips. Ooh, important death there.
Briguy also doing the same strat as Salad there in that room. He retried to go with the death cycle.
Still having a bit of trouble there though, unfortunately. So hopefully we'll see him getting through that soon and joining them on the ridge here. Salad now also has gone to the ridge, so we'll be seeing him catching up here. And he and Sushi are on almost the exact same screen here. They're incredibly close. This is kind of interesting.
And here we see Salad not opting to go for the wall jump strat in that room, which there's not much problem with. It maybe saves a few seconds at most. So
Salad having some troubles here with the wall bounces, but does get them now. And the Briguy has had a bit of a rough time here with the last room of the sheer fight, but is hopefully no, he dashes up into the plus point. That is well, that's unfortunate. Gets a little bit too scared of Oshiro and dies. Oh, hopefully he'll get through this very soon. That's incredibly unlucky.
It's certainly not hard to panic in that room, especially when you get near the end.
Yeah, and with a couple of deaths, the tilt factor can really come in play there as well.
Yeah.
We now see Sushi and Hihya in the harsh wind section that also introduces these snowballs, which come from the right hand of the screen and just tries to go for your face and hurt you a bit. Also, we haven't talked about these springs. They just go boing and act like springs do.
Yeah.
And this hard wind section here is probably one of the most different from a casual player to a speedrunner, because for a casual player, you'll most likely be trying to walk a lot and just using normal dashes, which will move you at a snail's pace through these, since the wind pushes you so hard. But since we have access to the hyper jumps and the dash jumps and whatnot, we can still move through these at a fairly good pace here.
Yeah.
And now Hihya is finishing up here with the very last room, Golden Ridge.
He finishes with I can't really tell what time that was.
Let's see if we can read it. No, I have no idea. 3:52? Was that it?
It was a solid time for sure.
Yeah.
And Msushi follows quickly after.
Yeah, I unfortunately can't read that. If anyone has an idea of the times, please let us know. But what is important is that what's more important to the race at least. Cell has fallen a bit behind here in Golden Ridge, unfortunately, and this, I say, about a minute behind Hihya at this point.
Yeah, something like that. Hihya did have a pretty good he did have a good cliff face section there, so
yeah. But of course, we do have plenty of time to catch up for Salad here, with the later stages being the longer ones.
yeah.
We also are in the Mirror Temple section here, and flying by here, so we can don't have time to explain mechanics. But we do have dash blocks that move when you dash on their little path. We have red bubbles that act like the blue bubbles in Ridge. Just they go infinitely long until you either hit a wall or you dash out of them. We'll also begin meeting some new friends later that I absolutely never have problems with.
Yeah, and here we'll see Hihya using a developer-intended skip, which kind of skips getting a key for that one door, which it's not really a skip anymore. Pretty much every speedrunner uses it, but
I mean, it's still a skip. It skips something.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if everyone uses search skip. That's still very much a skip.
Yeah, for sure.
So anyway, Salad has now finished up with the Ridge and is moving into Mirror Temple as well. And Briguy also in the he's moving up on the Harsh Wind section here in a little bit. We're gonna see him there as well. And now we meet our friends, the Seekers here, which are gonna we're gonna control them, and we're gonna try to eat ourselves. I'm sure it has some sort of meaning, but for us, we just want to get it done as fast as possible, of course. These Seekers are gonna play a big role here in the upcoming section for Hihya and Msushi. So we're gonna see them trying to attack us quite a lot, but they can also be used to our advantage because of their AI. The way it works is they home in on location, not just once like the Shiro, well, like the snowballs and Shiro, but it also follows us after move. So we can actually use that to make them go into the coins through some lock switches and help us pick up some things that we otherwise would have to go out our way to do.
Yeah, and we'll be seeing a lot of that seeker manipulation used by a lot of these runners further on. Like, in this room, we see Hihya doing that, and not in this room, however, but in a lot of rooms, and even further on in the game, we'll be seeing some of that.
Yeah, and the Seekers don't even have to be alive. As you saw there, he booped the Seeker before he sent him down to the Doom, to his own Doom, and to pick up the coin for us. So you can really manipulate them. These in Seekers in some really cool ways. I can definitely speak.
All right, now he is moving on to the search part of Chapter 5, which, as we'll be seeing very shortly, has the biggest skip in the game, search skip, which saves about 2 or 3 minutes, which just requires an extended reverse dash cancel just to get over that one platform area.
So normally you would have to collect 2 keys and then take a red bubble all the way there, but we can just do a short little jump there and skip all of it, so it's very, very nice. It is the, I believe it's the biggest skip in the game, pretty much, but by a lot.
Yeah.
Now we're also going to see Hihya here. Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, there aren't really too many skips in the game. I think Celeste's is more about movement optimization rather than big skips.
Yep.
But for sure, that's a useful one. So.
Hihya now in the Theo section having some trouble here with the first room, but so Theo has some bit weird mechanics as well, where you can't actually dash when you hold him, but you can dash before picking him up, and not only do you carry the momentum, you also get a little bit of a speed boost. So you'll be seeing him sort of stopping when picking him up a little bit, and then gaining a lot of speed when he starts going again. And Theo is also quite helpful. He can pick up these coins for us, and also if he lands on these switches, that he'll activate them immediately. And of course, we have even more Seekers trying to make our lives just that more difficult. Yeah, Msushi now pulling a bit ahead of Hihya there. Salad has a bit more of a tough time here with Mirror Temple and has fallen even further behind Hihya, unfortunately. But but we do have the longest chapters coming up here, so this could still be an incredibly close race here.
And there's literally a few frames between both Msushi and Hihya here, as they're both in the eyeball room at the same time.
You see there's times when they finish this up here, this is going to be interesting.
Oh, and it looks like Msushi has pulled ahead here, and he finishes just barely before Hihya.
Gets that 5-second lead there.
Difference.
So even though the race is actually not between Msushi and Hihya, it's still pretty interesting to see. Because their PBs are a couple of minutes ahead?
Yeah, I think Hihya's a 37 and Msushi's a 35. So
seeing them this close is pretty interesting. I'm not sure if it's Hihya doing really well or Sushi doing not as well as usually is, but I think it's the first one actually, because both Hihya and Sushi has had a very, very solid run so far.
Yeah. And here in Chapter 6, we have even more new mechanics. As you can see, there's the feather, which can be controlled by analog movement. Basically, you can just move them omnidirectionally. So this is where analog sticks will certainly thrive against D-pads and keyboards. And here we have what the community is named
there with unfortunate death there by the Seeker. Sorry.
Yeah. Here we also have the Kevin blocks, which our community has named it, which basically act as the kind of like the I don't know. I think it's kind of a mixture between the zipper blocks and the dash blocks from Chapter 5, where basically they're like initiated by dashes but contact as well. So contact with a dash. And we've named them the Kevin block because Kevin, one of the I believe from Power Up Audio, has recorded the noise we hear from these Kevin blocks, which it is actually his voice going or. So. Yeah, it's fairly amusing. So
I think fairly is a bit of an understatement. I don't think anyone can go a playthrough to this game without actually just doing that noise a couple times.
Yeah.
Salad here in the last room here, Mirror Temple has fallen unfortunately even further behind Hihya here. But he is still looking to have a fairly solid run overall. So, and Briguy now in the unraveling section here before the search skip and search part overall.
And here we see Msushi is extending his lead over Hihya a little bit, but there's still maybe a few rooms separating the two. So it could be anyone's game here.
I'm not sure if you mentioned the bumpers earlier.
Oh no, I didn't. Their name basically says what they are. They're bumpers. They do move on very small cycles where they move just a little bit. But basically, if you hold the opposite direction you hit them in, you can double the distance you get from these bumpers, which can propel you very far.
Yeah, and that mechanic is basically used to skip one bumper in reflection, and then it's barely used for any strats other than that.
Yeah.
But for the B and C sides, it can be quite important. Sushi there with a very unfortunate death at the end of this long spike room. So you see these holes in the spikes here, which are of course made there on purpose as well. The thing is, there are usually checkpoints in that room, but because we go straight through, we actually miss all of them. So death there can still be very, very costly. But Sushi gets on second try, and Hihya flying through there on the first try of that. Very nicely done.
And here what we'll probably see from Sushi is he's using, I believe, to be a extended hyper into a bunny hop on this Kevin block, which we name Madeline Boost, which...
No, Battle Line Boost.
Battle and Boost, sorry. And we saw it from him there, where you basically just get an insane amount of speed heading into the battle and fight there, which does save a bit of time.
Yeah, if you do it perfectly, you can fly through the entire room and then also keep the momentum through the skip cutscene part there. So, unfortunately, both runners are running into some walls on the way, but still a lot of speed there, so very nicely done still. And now the battling fight here.
Msushi got screwed by that one moving block there. That's fairly unfortunate.
The battleline fight here is just a sort of like the boss fight of the game here. there's not actually going to be any new mechanics other than some moving blocks that we have seen before, sort of. But it's going to be quite a lot of fairly precise movement here to get through these rooms as fast as possible. Because, of course, the attacks from Badline are cycle-based. Either there's these balls or there's lasers. So the runners will have some strats here to deal with getting through without getting hit by Badline's attacks. And we see Sal now in the last couple of rooms here before getting to the spike section before the Badline fight. So not too far behind at all. Briguy, meanwhile, still in the Mirror Temple here in the last couple of rooms here, Mirror Temple actually, so he's going to be looking to joining in Reflection quite shortly.
And there's like a few frames in between Hihya and Msushi.
Oh, wow!
They look
what is
like
happening here?
It looks like the same run is being repeated over there.
That is incredible.
Oh,
no, but the adapter Hihya stopping that. Wow. That was
funny to watch.
So far.
It looked like I was watching the same run, just double.
Wow, okay. Interesting. Sal now also joining them for the Badline fight here, as Hihya and Msushi are again on the same frame for a little bit there, but Msushi had an unfortunate death. Oh, and so in the second part here, Badline gets a little bit more evil and decides to start moving blocks around her at her own will, which can be a bit frustrating to deal with for casual players, but of course we have the speed tech on our side to get through these things quickly.
And Briguy finally getting through Chapter 5 there. He's still a bit behind the rest, but I mean, skill-wise he's a bit different, but it doesn't seem like he's on too bad of a pace himself. So
once again now on Sal and on Hihya's and Sushi's screen, they are just frames apart going through this final. Oh! And of course, Sushi has a couple of really unfortunate deaths there.
2 deaths from Sushi, but we still have the longest chapter coming up, so it's still anyone's game here.
Those things are really cool to watch, actually.
I'm gonna rewatch the VOD of that just to like clip both of them literally on
if someone in the chat here, just clip that, please. Thank you. Commentator scores indeed. Now we've leveled up here. We've got a second dash, but more importantly, we have gotten pink hair.
So we have a 219 from Hihya and what looks to be a 225-27, an 8-second difference. The fact that they've been able to stay on similar pace with each other with this song is absolutely insane.
Yeah, very much so. And Briguy has now started the reflection section here, so hopefully you can make up some lost time there. Salad in the last couple rooms before the second section of the Badline fight, so he's also a bit behind, and a lot of things can happen in some of it, but by the way it's going now, it does look like he is going to take that race. But of course, we have the longest chapter here, so there could be a lot happening. So now we're in the 0 meter section here. For Hihya and Msushi are in the 0 meter section now, which is basically a reflection, but without all the cool mechanics. It's just a bunch of spikes and some jumps.
Yeah, just a kind of simple kind of area before the difficulty of Summit ramps up, as we'll see later on here.
Now in the 500 meter section here, which is the Forsaken City sub-chapter here. So we're going to see them going through all the different chapters here as they climb their way to the top of Celeste Mountain. Still, it's just about one room's difference between Hihya and Msushi. This is a really, really cool run to watch. Sal now in the second to last room before Reflection ends. Briguy in the hall section here, moving through at a fairly good pace still.
Ooh, but Hihya takes a death, and now Salad is ahead again.
No, Sushi is Salad is still behind.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm having trouble with names. 4 ways.
No worries. No worries.
It's not easy to go 4-way, but
Yeah, I agree. But that's why we have two commentators to help us out.
yeah. We have Hihya getting into 1,000 meters, a few seconds behind Msushi, but a few seconds can be changed fairly easily. So
Having some trouble with the first room though, getting a bit stuck. But yeah, he's getting through it now. A bit slower, a bit safer.
and
Sal has now finished up with
yeah.
deflection, yeah. So he's gonna be looking to join these in these summits here.
Ooh.
So for me, the 1,000 meter section here is probably my second favorite chapter to watch because of the dream blocks here. There's so many of them, and they look incredibly cool when you see them.
And here we see Msushi
like
using the dream hypers, which is I don't even know how to do them, but
you do a hyper input. That's basically how you do. You just do a hyper input incredibly precisely when you're coming out of dream blocks. Gives a lot more extra speed, but it's very precise. So yeah, it's very nice to see. It's pretty precise, so you don't see too many runners going for it, but it's really nice to see them going for it nonetheless. And now we have Msushi here in the 1500 meter section, the Resort 2.0. Probably the hardest chapter of this run in a lot of runners' opinions. It has a lot of pretty tight cycles and some fairly hard and precise jumps overall. But we do also have a room coming up here that's going to utilize ultra dashes in a very interesting way.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen any ultra dashes yet, so...
Not that I've seen, at least, no.
Yeah, and
so now on Sushi's screen here, he's going to go for the ultra dash strat there. Misses the second dash crystal a little bit too early. Goes for it again, though. Gets the second try very nicely done there. Gets the that's very clean execution there the second time around from Sushi.
Yeah, so I think we didn't really explain too much what a hyper dash was. It's basically just an ultra dash, I meant. An ultra dash is basically just a hyper dash and then quickly followed by either a wave dash or a diagonal down dash in the direction you're moving in, which can give you some insane speed. And it's very useful in a few spots while running this game.
Absolutely. And Briguy has now gotten into the battle line fight here. Salad is now on the 1,000 meter section, so just about one section behind Hihya. So with a couple sections here coming up, we could actually see Salad still having a chance here to take over. Now in the Golden Ridge section here, there's going to come a couple of skips here in a little bit on both Hihya's and Sushi's screens, hopefully.
Yeah, the next turn, I believe, for Sushi is, the auto-scroller skip, which basically requires an extended hyper off the, while getting the momentum off that moving block, which he does, and then requires a wall bounce there, which can save a lot of time. You don't have to wait for the moving block to get all the way to the other side of the screen.
Also here you can go for a smaller, he does you can do wall bounce there, and then a second dash to get up a little bit earlier than the scrolling block would actually allow you to get up. Oh, misses the bubble just barely. That's unfortunate for Sushi there.
And he gets another death there, which is allowing Hihya to make some time back. As for a split second, they're both in the same room. So this is still very close between these two.
And we have Saddle now in the 1500 meter section following suit. Fairly close to it does look like he's getting a little bit of time there on Hihya, so we'll have to keep track what happens in these last two sub-chapters after the last room of 2500. Or 2000 meters, sorry.
And now we see Sushi going into the 2500 meter section. Personally, the most fun for me, because there's the most... Yeah, each room in 2500 has some type of strat, or some type of skip, which can save a decent amount of time. As we see, both Hihya and Sushi went for a dash cancel in one room to kind of skip one part of the other, and Sushi gets the key skip first try, and Hihya, who's right there, taking him a few tries to get it, and he gets it there.
Very nice. So yeah, you're jumping away for the spikes there once again, so you don't actually die when hitting their hitbox. Then using the double dashes that we have to get up there very quickly. Little tight fit there from Sushi, and he's going for door skip. He gets the first door, very nicely done. Goes for the second and gets door skip first try.
9 years on his run.
Obviously does not actually save 9 years, but it's a bit of a meme.
Yeah.
Hihya also going for it, but misses the first door, unfortunately. Going for the end though. Gets the first door now.
Gets first, and he gets the second.
Gets it second try. Really nicely down there from Hihya. So that skip saves about 1 second.
Yeah. And they're both still in the same room. Sushi having a little bit of trouble at the end of that last room, and Hihya taking an unfortunate death, but there's still only a few seconds separating the two. As they both go into the final bit, or well, Sushi now going to the final bit of Summit, and Hihya quickly following.
Yeah, so just quickly touch upon the people that don't know. Door skip just saves about 1 second. It's just become a bit of a meme to like talk about door skip like it's the hardest trick in the book, even though it's still a fairly easy skip. It's semi-precise, but you can learn it fairly quickly.
Yeah, I think it was just a trick that used to be kind of a myth for a lot of runners back when its concept was first found.
Yeah,
I think like when people would see Tej using it in its first days, people would go crazy, and now it's just kind of a joke about how people thought it was so hard nowadays, and now it's basically free.
So now in the last part of the 2,000 meter section, he's gonna have a bit to catch up here. So Hihya is looking to have here a comfortable lead, but 3,000 meter section can do bad things to men. So we'll see how it goes here. So we actually forgot to talk about there's a couple new mechanics, or sort of new mechanics here in the 3,000 meter section. Hihya now in the downdraft section still, which gives you a lot higher gravity and pushes you down, of course. Meanwhile, Sushi in the updraft section now, which gives you lower gravity and allows you to sort of float when you fall, as well as give you more height on your jumps. But Hihya here having a little bit of trouble here with the last room or checkpoint, but it's getting to it now.
And Sal gets a first try key skip, which is pretty nice. So he makes some time back against Hihya on that front, but as we can see, both Sushi and Hihya are flying through this updraft section.
So on the last couple rooms here, we're gonna have to see him if he goes for door skip or not. He has talked about some disdain for it, so he might not go, but he is going for it actually. Gets the first one very nicely done. And gets the first try. Well done there for Salad. He has been talking about how he usually doesn't go for it, but decides to put in a show here and does indeed get door skip first try very nicely done. Hihya now in the last couple checkpoints here of the up, well not the last, but at least the longest checkpoints here of the updraft section. Has these couple of fairly precise jumps there at the very, very end. So these can be some very punishing rooms.
Yeah, and we see Hihya going for the neutral jump strat in that room, which kind of abuses the updraft to kind of propel you above that one spike area, which saves maybe a few seconds. It allows you to skip going down to get the dash crystal. And here we see Msushi on the third last checkpoint. I'm not sure he's gonna PB. It looks like his
no, his PB is a 3508, so that's fortunately.
Says he has a red split, but
Hihya with his 37-minute flat now on the last 6 flags, we could very well see him PBing here.
Yes, for sure.
And Salad does actually also have a chance, but it's gonna be fairly close for him.
Yeah. So we see Sushi finishing with a 35-46. And he does beat Hihya, although that was pretty close between those two, for sure. It's very fun to watch. So
congratulations to Sushi winning that top race. We're seeing now Hihya here on the last 3 checkpoints as well, so it is looking like he will take that race over Salah there. Coming up now, last checkpoint.
On the very last flag. And he gets past the last spikes, and he finishes with a 36-27. That's a 30-second PB on Hihya's front. Very good job there. Very well done. Alright, it looks like Msushi will be able to interview us. Maybe you'll give the runners a little bit more
he's
time.
not gonna interview us. Other way around. We're gonna interview him. That's how interviews work.
Yeah. As we see Salad going through the last little bit of 3,000 meters, and we see Briguy finishing up 1,000, going into 1,500.
And we do now see Salad here on the last 6 checkpoints ready to go now. So it does look like he's going to miss his PB here, but it's still going to be a fairly solid time. It's going to be I think it's going to be a low 38, which is very good. And it should be said here that the time that you do get, they get do matter, even though they lose the races, as their average times will be used for seeding in the bracket stage later, provided they get through, of course. But
and
it's
we have
unfortunate there.
Sushi here and Hihya both in the voice chat.
So congratulations to you both. That was a very, very fun race to watch.
Thank you. Congrats on the PB.
Yeah, thanks.
So okay, we have a question from chat real quick. Msushi, what does the M stand for? If anything.
My first name, Matthew.
Ah, that makes sense.
But it's up to interpretation, really.
Alright,
you
fair
know?
enough. So I don't know if you guys realize this, but you two were incredibly close all the way through the end. We were in a couple of screens of reflection. You were basically frame perfectly synced together.
Oh, that'll be fun to watch.
It was ridiculous. Absolutely the coolest thing I've seen so far.
Yeah, that's what. It's kind of a shame that we have a good group stage format where there's basically minimal chance of upsets. But it's nice with these 4-player races. You do get to see these players that wouldn't normally be seeded against each other going at it, and it really is a treat.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot more of that once we get into the knockout stage, where we can see runners with fairly similar times pitted against each other. And we see Salad finishing there with a 38.27, so...
That's pretty close to his PB, right?
Yeah, it's about a minute
off. Yeah, that's not terrible for a tourney.
No, absolutely not. Pretty good race time there. Briguy now in the 5th meter section also finishing up. So, anything special you guys want to talk about with your races, other than how close they were? Because I want to gush about that out as long as I can.
Hihya, you want to go first?
I really need to practice Summit.
Who doesn't, though? Who doesn't? Yeah. It's such a long section. Seeing as you had such a nice night, did you maybe get any gold splits there during your race, Hihya?
A total number of 3. Old side.
3 gold?
Yeah, Old Side, Golden Witch, and Mirror Temple.
Wow, that's nice. Very nice.
Alright,
about my race, I really don't want to pull this card, but you could see through my stream, I had frame drops. Yeah. I had internet frame drops, and I need to restart my computer. I need to look at something, because I was also getting performance drops. It wasn't terribly hard to play with. It spiked sometimes. The only one error I can attribute to it, other than it really tilting my mental state, was one time in Golden Ridge, I got hit by a snowball in a room where I was very unfamiliar with the death cycle, and that just that put me out of it for the rest of the run. But overall, I'm not too terribly disappointed with the final time.
I mean, a win in a race is a win, and it didn't look like it was too far off your PB, so it could help you going into the knockout stage, potentially. Yeah.
We'll see if we can grab Salad for interview as well, because the chat seems to be demanding it. Yeah, it's a very incredibly entertaining race to watch there. So congrats to both of you, and especially congrats to Hihya on that PB there. We're gonna see Briguy finishing up here, and then let's just touch upon the schedule that we have going on, because of course we have 8 summer races coming up very soon for you. I'm just gonna bring up the schedule here, and then we'll talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, this afternoon is filled with races. From, well, after this one, from 2 to 10, we have a ton of races. I'll be commentating the next one, the next four-way race between Babai, Tigerson, Psyched, and Renubris. So if by some insane chance you want to hear more of me, you can have that. But yeah, we have a ton other races. A lot of four-ways, a lot of two-ways. So yeah.
And for these, so let's just Hihya and Msushi. When can we see more of you guys run?
Tomorrow, I'm pretty sure. Tomorrow at 3 p.m. I think EDT.
Oh, yeah, I found it. Yep. Absolutely.
Yep.
Well, I know Monday night y'all want to see TGH get clapped, so make sure to tune in about 9 p.m. EDT.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool to watch. So 8 p.m. actually, according to the schedule.
Yeah, same time.
Yeah. And we're also gonna have Sal in a couple races here. He has 3 more races today, so hopefully we'll see him
today.
A little bit. Yeah, he has a ton of races today. It's gonna be.
Oh my god.
Certainly cleaning up his schedule before.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm actually gonna have to take my departure right now. So be sure to follow all the runners and maybe even me and Ots after this is done. Thank you very much for the entertaining race. Thank you, Chad, for being just watching the stream. Very nice of you. And be sure to stick around after the race here is done to watch more Celeste coming.
All right.
So goodbye, everyone.
It's a little empty now, but Briguy is going to be finishing up his run, hopefully.
Yeah, so Briguy now in the 3,000 meter section. He isn't on PB pace, unfortunately, but hey, we can't ask for a PB every single run. So, I mean, he's still going to finish on what looks to be an okay pace, possibly a sub 45 if he plays out the rest fairly well, but yeah. Ooh, he chooses to skip 24 and makes a small blunder there, but looks like he's back up. So Briguy now finishing up the downdraft section. He's getting very close to the end of the run. So, yeah.
If you guys want, we can all count down Briguy's flags. It's a little bit intimidating, finishing quite far behind everyone, but I'm sure he'd love the support.
Yeah, for sure. So, if we could get some, that'd be pretty nice. Having a little bit of trouble on flag 17, but he gets through it fairly okay. Flag 14 now, one of the more punishing ones of this section. He does take a death early on, which obviously is better than late on. Saves a bit of time as compared to a much worse death, like on the very end here. And he cleans that up. Back onto flag 13, also another fairly risky one. Oh, and he gets a close save there.
Wow.
That was certainly a nice one there. And he does go for the neutral jump strat, saving a little bit of time. And now he's on flag 9. He takes a death. And he cleans it up second try. little bit of a blunder there, but he cleans it up. And he does it again, and he saves it again. Oh, and he's neutral jumping all the way to the top there. Okay. And
that flag can definitely be tricky.
Yeah.
If you mess up.
And flag 6 now. He's nearly done his run. Flag 5. And flag 3. And he's able to clear it, and he's nearly done his run. But it'll probably be a sub 48 pace, which for him is not the best, but I mean, you can't ask for perfect runs while in a race, so.
Definitely better than the forfeit time.
Yeah, for sure. I don't want to say anything now because I don't want to curse it and then get him a death on flag 1. And he cleans it up, and he does pull out the sub 48 time, excuse me, with a 47.50. So finishing a bit behind the rest, but he still finished it. So that's all the runs for this race. So, decent all around. GG to everyone. Congrats, Hihya, on the PB. And yeah, that's about it. I think,
We got Briguy in here.
You have Briguy. Hello. So,
hello.
Wasn't your best race, but you still,
No.
I mean, you still finished. It's better than a DQ, so.
Exactly, yeah. Not too pleased with that. I mean, that was 5 minutes behind my PB, so that's like 5 minutes of like genuine mistakes.
Yeah, you still did.
Rooms. Yeah.
You still did pretty good though in that one race against Tej, so I have to give you that.
I was definitely happy with that one. This one was fine. Yeah, I just felt like I was playing a little sloppy all over. Like certain rooms definitely got me pretty hard, and then just general mistakes, like dying where I shouldn't have. But oh well. Got 5 more races to fix that.
Yeah, so best of luck to everybody for the rest of the tournament. I think we might have to, it's past 1 now, so there might be a few races soon. Let me check.
Looks like we got an hour of downtime here. And then we got another 4-person race. Bye-bye, Taggers Insight, Manubris. Over at Speed Gaming 6, so right here in an hour.
Yeah, I'll also be commentating that one, so there's that. If you really want to watch more of me, then you can. Actually, it looks like there isn't, I'm not really sure. Looks like there might not be anything. If anybody from Speed Gaming wants to correct me with that, then be free to, but yeah, so be sure to watch that 4-person race. Again, I'll be commentating, so if by some insane chance you want to hear more of me, if you're crazy enough for that, then stay tuned for that. I'm sure it'll be a pretty good race to watch. We have a lot of them are high-level runners. Briguy is the top 10, so if you want to see some insane strats, stay tuned. Yeah, so I'm not sure how much more time we have, but thank you all for watching. Thank you all runners for running here. And
thank you for commentating.
Yeah, no problem.
And thanks to everyone behind the scenes making this possible.
Yeah, and stay tuned over the rest of the afternoon because we have a ton of races later today.